Okay, so that's how they've come off the router. So just get rid of those tabs now, get them out and then clean them up. Okay, so these are the crutch parts, half cleaned up. And then we've just cut out some 1/4 inch bar, brass bar, by 1/4 inch as well to make these little cubes. Drilled and tapped that M3, and they're going to be soft soldered onto the end here. Not much experience soft soldering brass, so this could be a disaster. So let's have a go. So we've got some EN3B steel. This is 3-inch steel, and this is going to make the pendulum, and it's also going to make the weight as well. So there's an 8-inch length here, and I'm going to go for 4-inch for both pieces. In actual fact, the plans do call for this for the pendulum, but then 4-inch wide for the weight and only 3-inch high. And I'm guessing that's just to give more drop. So just because I've got this bar, I'm going to use this for the weight, certainly initially anyway. So I'm going to lob this in half now and then turn it to size. Certainly a fair old chunk to get through. Polishing this up, it's just a little mark in it there. I think I'm going to have to live with that because it's quite deep and I don't want to take any more off it. So yeah, it's looking good. So I'll take that out now. I was just finishing it off, just using a pressure fitting there, so I could get right down really thin finishing cuts, and then obviously sanding it down to the polish. Okay, we're going to work on the suspension spring now. So I've got the suspension spring here, which is 0.008 of an inch, and I'm going to make the brass cheeks. So I've cut a little piece of brass here from the brass sheet, and we're going to anneal this and then bend it into a tight U shape so we can make the bottom and top. Obviously this is just one of them, and then we'll make the second one. Okay, so this is a little punch I've made out of some old silver steel, and it's 3mm, just over, so it'll slide in the 3.5mm hole that I've made. So we're just going to heat treat this now, get this really red hot, and then cleanse it. So that's quite nice using the punch. I've literally knocked out a little circle there, you can see. I thought this was going to be one of the hardest parts, but yeah, the punch has successfully worked, which is good. It's a bit thin on the edges, the punch, but I'm only going to use it twice and then it's pretty much done. So as long as it gets through the next one now, that's great. Okay, I've marked out for the second piece. I'm just going to cut this with scissors. Seems to cut alright first time around with them. That's not bad. A little clean cut. No edges. Said it was cut okay with the scissors, but I've got a little bit of a burr on that edge. Take that round, that's better. Let's try that now. That's better. Okay. And I'm out, and that one definitely took more hits than the first one, so even after the second one I've not sharpened this enough, but I have got it out. So that's worked quite well, providing this is all still straight. Yeah, it looks good. Happy days. Okay, so there's the suspension spring done. Quite pleased with how that's turned out. Okay, so we've got a square bar now for the backcock, chucked up in the 4-jaw lathe and centred. So we're just going to turn a small nub down on the end, and then that'll fit through the apron, and then we're going to drill and tap that M4. So I've just turned that down and fitted the apron, so it's nice and square. And I think like I say, I'm going off Wilding's plans here, so Wilding wants you to rivet this in, and I really don't like that, so when I've got it in position I'm going to Loctite it and then screw it in as well. Maybe it's just me, I just wasn't confident in getting a good fit riveting. So we'll take this out now, we'll cut it down to size, we'll face the other side back up, I'll do that off camera, and then we need to slot this. Well, I've gone off plan a little bit now for the pendulum rod. So at the top end there's still this brass piece that I've fitted up, which slides on to the other end of the pendulum rod, and then holds the suspension spring in this slot here. But on the other end there was another brass rod. In the plans he uses 1/2-inch dowel wood. I didn't fancy using that, I wanted to, just purely for aesthetics, just wanted to keep it metal. So I've gone with this steel. And because it is only 6mm, he puts another little brass end piece on, which is also 1/2-inch, so it can slide up and down the pendulum rod, but that'll be too thick for me. So in actual fact I've extended the pendulum rod as much as that brass piece would extend it by, and then I've just threaded the end here. I'm just going to Loctite this into position. So essentially we've just got rid of this brass piece, which is hidden anyway inside the pendulum bob itself, so there's just no need for that, so that's just going to go straight in there now. Okay, one step closer, so the pendulum's on now and swinging freely, which is nice. The crutch isn't moving with it because there's 2 pins here on either side of the crutch, one on either side. I didn't put that on, I should have measured, I could have done it at the time, but I just wanted to actually fit the pendulum and check where this fell. I've changed the design, as I've mentioned, of the pendulum rod, so now I'm using 6mm steel, and I just didn't know whether those pins were going to fit on this larger brass or thinner diameter steel. So obviously it's the standard brass, so I can go with the original plans. The whole mechanism here isn't attached properly to the frame, which is why it's clamped down and not in position. Obviously it's miles away from this pinion gear here, but I just wanted to fit it up and see it working. So next step is to fit the pins on the crutch and then position all this and align it, and obviously pin it to the frame. So the entire pendulum assembly frame, put it onto the main frame, and then hopefully that will mean that the actual escapement then will start working, or at least I can then look at trying to get the escapement working, I should say. So they're the next steps, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.